Hey everybody, welcome back to VDP1. So, taking a continuing series on the MiSTer FPGA DE10 Nano project, more specifically the work in progress Sega Saturn Core, because we've had updates, we've had more fun tests to do, and we've got more Sega Saturn fun to have. And we've been talking about recently some of the widescreen games on Sega Saturn, so I'm going to be going through some of those and showing you some games that we've never shown before on this testing video. Before we get too far involved though, do me a huge favor down below, hit like and subscribe and ring that notification bell, it definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined to want to support the channel, we got a Patreon link down below as well. But first off the top, we are retesting Nights into Dreams, and we're doing it on the widescreen mode. Because as good as this game looks in 4:3 aspect ratio, it's even more fun in my opinion in 16:9. Doesn't really change up much of the gameplay whatsoever, but having more to look at in Nights into Dreams is never a bad thing. Because in my opinion, this is one of the prettiest 3D games on Sega Saturn. And honestly, being able to see a little bit more to the left and right lets you set up for what you're trying to actually aim for that much better. But again, people seem to forget that the Sega Saturn could do 3D in 16:9 or even 2D in 16:9, and this is just a fun demonstration not only of what was programmed into these games when they were developed, but also what MiSTer FPGA can handle. And I just love the graphical looks of Nights into Dreams, the colorful poppy imagery, all of those Sega blues in the background. This just screams Sega in the mid-90s. And you put that together with widescreen support, and on the core it's functioning near to perfect, and you have a recipe for an absolutely good time. And who wouldn't want more Nights into Dreams on the left and right hand side of their screen? And I will show you in just a moment how to get this set up to make sure you can do it on your MiSTer FPGA as well. But leave me a comment down below and tell me, do you like Nights in 4:3 standard aspect ratio, or do you prefer it in 16:9? Because I would be curious what people's opinions are. You may see a little bit more pop in on the screen as well there. So if you go into options, the TV screen, you need to set the game to wide, and then you need to go into the audio and video settings on the core and stretch the aspect ratio out to 16:9 as well. This will give you the proper aspect ratio and the proper appearance of Nights into Dreams for widescreen support. And how much fun is that? Like I said a little bit earlier, you will see that sometimes the pop-in is going to be a little bit more dramatic because it is further off the edge and it can't hide as much as it would when you're on a 4:3 standard aspect ratio display. But I don't really mind that so much because I just love being able to see where you're going, and in levels like this, the boss level, the pop-in is much less noticeable, and just seeing more at the edges of the screen 100% does it for me. This is just such a pretty game. Having more of it is a good thing, and the best part is on the current core, their performance seems to be like 99% of the way to being one-to-one with real Sega Saturn hardware. So honestly, people have been asking for a retest of this video. I figured why not do it and do it in widescreen at the exact same time. So if you want to play Nights into Dreams today on MiSTer FPGA, do it in 4:3, do it in widescreen, do it however you want. Just be aware that it's going to be an absolutely incredible experience. But now moving on to my personal favorite game in widescreen on Sega Saturn. This is Baroque, and this is the English translation. This game has such a dark vibe to it. It's ominous, the colors are incredible, and honestly, playing this game in 16:9 makes it really feel like a modern release that just shows a graphical styling that would be close to this generation of 3D hardware. If you release this on Steam today for like 20 bucks and just said it was developed inspired by the Sega Saturn, I would 100% buy it. Seeing this running in widescreen is just so much better than in 4:3. You get to see more of the playfield, you get to see more of what's coming up, and honestly there really isn't any culling in the edges as well that I really notice, so you're getting an even better experience. And if you've never played Baroque before, I can't recommend this game enough now that it is translated into English. There's so many things going on, so many dungeons and towers to explore. You're going to think that you're going to play this game for half an hour or so, and then suddenly 30 to 40 hours have gone by. You've basically taken 2 breaks and you're 100% engrossed in the experience. All of the artwork, all of the sprites, all of the 3D look incredible in 16:9, and the best part is on the current core, this game seems to be absolutely flawless. It is such a fun experience to have, so I cannot recommend this one enough. If you want to play a new game on the current Sega Saturn core, and if you want to play a fun game in 16:9 widescreen, Baroque is my #1 game to do that, and all of the text definitely even adheres to that new aspect ratio. But this game has a very ominous soundtrack as well. Listen for 45 seconds and I'll be right back. Everything about Baroque is absolutely ominous and creepy, and that soundtrack, or more accurately a soundscape, drives home the overall horror weird nature of this game. And again, it is absolutely perfect on the current core, and having the widescreen support just makes it that much better. This is a special game. I can't recommend it to you enough. All of the sprite work, all of the graphics, all of the music, all of the atmosphere, and all of the story in this game are just something you've probably never experienced before unless you follow along with Japanese imports in the translation scene. So again, if you want to play this on MiSTer FPGA today, you can 100% do it from start to finish, and you're going to have a great time. And the fun part about the 16:9 support is even in the cutscenes, the FMVs, they look totally fine, and this is just, again, such a strange vibe. Kind of reminds me of Twin Peaks Season 3, but of course this came out long before that. If that's not Philip Jeffries in the bell, I'm really not sure what it is. But again, this is just playing so well on the current core. I cannot find a single thing about the performance in Baroque, whether it's in 4:3 or widescreen, that would make me think it's doing anything other than playing exactly like original hardware. And again, I say it in every video, that is what we want, to blur the line between FPGA code and real Sega Saturn hardware and not know where one starts and the other one ends. But let's move on to another quote-unquote widescreen game. This one is definitely not running in real widescreen, but all of the FMVs in the game are widescreen, and I've just been waiting for a place to show you this capture, honestly, so it's a little bit of a fun extra. This is Jewels of the Oracle. It's a point-and-click adventure game that pretty much makes no sense. It's going to confuse you the entire time you're playing it. You're never going to be quite sure what's going on or what you're supposed to do next, which means it is the quintessential 90s point-and-click adventure game. And I do love showing these off on the testing videos just because I grew up on these type of games, point-and-click adventure games, whether they were on CD-ROM with full motion video or before that, the stuff from Sierra and LucasArts. So even the bad games in this sort of genre, they always do it for me, and Jewels of the Oracle definitely is a very mid-tier experience, but it's one that I know some people remember. And honestly, when it comes to testing the core, we can't just test the greatest hits of the Sega Saturn. We need to check absolutely everything, see how it's performing, and see how it's doing. And Jewels of the Oracle here seems to be running exactly the same way as it would on real Sega Saturn hardware. But tell me down below, have you ever heard of this game before? Have you ever played it? And are you a fan of point-and-click adventure games or no? Because I feel like it's a 50-50 mix of people who grew up with these things and absolutely love them, and who didn't grow up with them and don't care for it at all as a genre. It seems to be a real time and place thing. But this again is performing exactly like you would expect on real hardware, and there is some interesting intrigue in this game. It's definitely a slow burn, but if you play it long enough, you are going to want to know how to solve the puzzles. It is going to get underneath your skin, and you're going to want to find out what's happening in the world of Jewels of the Oracle in and of itself. So don't discount this one. Yes, the puzzles are obscenely hard and obtuse like any good adventure game would be, but you can definitely use a walkthrough on this, and I would not judge you whatsoever. And you can tell it definitely started its life on a PC, because that is just a mouse cursor you control with your Saturn pad. So definitely give this one a shot. It's one of those deep cut games, you'll either love it or hate it. There's no in between, but it is worth testing out. And of course, we couldn't talk about widescreen without talking about Panzer Dragoon 2. This also runs in widescreen, but I'm going to have this in a different testing video. I kind of made these at the same time, so you'll be seeing more of this in the future as a longer term test. But honestly, just like Nights into Dreams and just like Baroque, playing Panzer Dragoon 2 in widescreen is just such a vibe. It's such a fun new play to experience the game, and I can't recommend it enough. Again, just make sure you toggle widescreen mode on in the options, and then go to the audio video settings on the core and switch the aspect ratio to 16:9, and you'll have Panzer Dragoon in widescreen, and who wouldn't want that? But that's the current situation on this testing video. It's a little bit of a shorter one. I've had a busy week, but I wanted to show you guys some fun. But leave me a comment down below and tell me what your favorite Sega Saturn game to play in widescreen is. I would be curious. If you have any recommendations for further tests, different games I haven't shown on the channel before, just leave me a comment down below and I'll try to get to each and every one of them. But the Saturn core is shaping up better and better every single week, and I can't wait to see what comes next. Bye bye.